Welcome once again to another Enough Already podcast. My name is Fingers. She's Tracy. Everyone's losing their damn mind. I mean, even more, it's a toxic stew. It's a perfect storm. The coronavirus reaction, the continued mask shaming. We've got a mutual friend who told a story on Facebook. I won't mention her name. She had one or two too many drinks and got on a plane, and her mask slipped down below her nose, and she was reported.
To whom?
The
attendants?
Or the flight attendant was notified, and then when she got off the plane, she was greeted by airline personnel, not security, but they wanted more information, and she gave them, "Oh yeah, my name is Jane Doe," and kept walking. And then the funny thing is that the Karen who, created stink about her mask slipping off her nose was seen at the baggage claim, and her mask had slipped off her nose. And so when the other people in her, our mutual friend's party called her out on it and took a picture of her, she gave him the finger. So we're living in crazy times. And then everything that's happening in Wisconsin. I hesitate to even bring any of this up because we don't know what's true yet about the shooting where two people were killed. Early reports were that the guy who had a rifle and was protecting property was attacked. Now you're hearing other reports that he shot someone before people were chasing him on foot, and it's all a mess. And the guy's being charged with first-degree murder.
Is he? I thought I saw homicide.
Oh, I saw first-degree murder.
Okay.
So
first-degree homicide was what I saw.
Oh, okay.
An hour and a half ago.
Well, we are recording this Wednesday afternoon, so as everyone knows, these stories develop very quickly. Things change. So, I don't want to get into this too much without knowing the facts, but is there anyone who was surprised that this was going to happen?
No.
I mean, that you keep going out and destroying property. At some point, people are going to push back. Now, again, I don't know if this was justified, if he was truly defending himself, or if he went off and started shooting people before. There's video out there right now. It's quite graphic video.
Yeah.
Of him shooting someone in the arm and here's the other thing too. Everyone is so dug in their positions. They're willing to just completely lie if it helps their narrative. Like I saw a bunch of leftists claiming that the guy who got shot in the arm was holding a cell phone, when clearly if you zoom in on the photo, he's holding a gun. He was armed. Now, the claim is these guys are chasing the rifle guy because he shot someone earlier. Then there's claims that the person who got shot threw a Molotov cocktail. Who the hell knows? And it may take weeks before everything comes out. Months. Who knows? But, I'm
willing to go on the record right now and say it's really a bad idea to chase somebody that has a gun.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be disproven. Anything else we say could be, but you probably shouldn't chase somebody with a gun.
It's a bad idea.
Well, somebody that has a gun, you shouldn't be chasing them.
Right.
But if you have your own gun, which is what it looks like one of the shooting victims had, then maybe I can understand why you would do it. But again, if you have a gun and somebody has shot at you and they're running away, why are you running at them? Just shoot them. It's just mayhem. It's absolute craziness. And we've been watching this for weeks. And so I don't know if the normies have been exposed to the fact that this has been kind of ongoing. I mean, the Wisconsin thing is a new eruption that started on, Sunday?
Yes.
That incident happened?
Well, the narrative, now that we're getting the normies involved in this, you're already starting to see the narrative out of this that we need to look at these militias. We need to look at, that's the new one. We need to look at these militias. We saw armed people in Lansing showing up at the Capitol, armed to the teeth, and now we're seeing violence from this militia. We really need to take a closer look at these militias. Forget taking a look at the rioting, how this town in Wisconsin has been completely decimated. Portland, my God, Seattle, on and on with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, rioting, looting, they're heartbreaking stories out of Kenosha. Kenosha, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm told that this is like a nice vacation spot. I've got a friend that goes up there, takes her daughter. It's right on Lake Michigan. And you're seeing these heartbreaking stories of business owners. There's a couple that showed up to their furniture store, was completely decimated. And the refrain is still out there. Well, that's what insurance is for. My mom, God rest her soul, owned a antique store, sold antique furniture, beautiful antique lamps, poured her heart and soul into this business. She, would go to different antique auctions and estate sales.
The roadshow?
Oh yeah. Never went to the roadshow, but spent countless hours building up an inventory. And the idea that if someone threw a Molotov cocktail in her business and burned it down and have some wise ass leftist say, well, that's what insurance is for.
But don't they hate the insurance companies? Honestly. Yeah. How many times have we been treated to the sob stories about insurance screwing people over, courtesy of the Democrats? I seem to remember that happening quite a bit in the primaries.
Yeah.
But somehow property and business insurance, it's a totally ethical business versus health insurance.
Yeah. And anyone who's had to make a claim, at least if you're talking about homeowners insurance, forget about, running a business and it being destroyed due to rioting. Just dealing with compared to homeowners insurance, how big of a pain in the ass it is to file a claim and get everything that you need out of the insurance company. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in inventory. I mean, you see the scenes from Wisconsin, the video, and God bless the citizen journalists. We're only seeing real journalism in this country right now through citizen journalists.
Yeah, did you see that one of the guys from the Daily Caller that was on the ground there actually helped one of the shooting victims?
Yes. But he's from the Daily Caller, so he can't be hailed as a hero by other journalists.
Right. Literally took the shirt off of his back and used it to try to stop the bleeding. And that guy got shot in the head. That was a totally different incident than the one we were talking about before, where they were chasing somebody with a gun. But go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to get that kid's name, the reporter, because that was pretty amazing.
No, but the citizen journalists, the independent journalists, people like Andy No, and there's so many people on the ground in Wisconsin who were out there reporting, and now Antifa can't stand these people, and they're doing everything they can to target them and dox them. Real courage in journalism, which is something we don't see much anymore from the mainstream media. You hear about a journalist being hailed as a hero because maybe Donald Trump tweeted something mean about them and they're standing up to Donald Trump. And it's like, oh, okay, well this person put themselves in the middle of gunplay.
Yeah.
This kid from the Daily Caller.
His name is Richie McGinnis. Yeah, I mean, I just flashed back thinking about what you're saying and the journalists putting themselves in harm's way. When Ferguson erupted, I think it was in Ferguson that they had Chris Hayes out on the street. Don't you remember? And he was wearing a helmet and the bulletproof vests and all this stuff and constantly shaking like a frightened little rabbit. So they quit sending those guys out into the field because it's not a good look for them.
No.
But they also don't want to acknowledge that this stuff is going on.
Exactly. Well, now, of course, Joe Biden came out today and said that this needs to stop. So now, now the narrative will be, well, Biden has come out and he's condemned the violence. So this is really old. This attack on Dems is just old news. I mean, what do you want him to do? I would have liked for him to do it 2 months ago. That would have been nice. And
and more forcefully. It's almost, do you remember in 2016 during the election cycle when they started kind of bringing in the Russia collusion stuff pretty early to September-ish, October, there were kind of hints being put out by the left. And then Obama said he told Putin to knock it off. I mean, this is the equivalent of that, right? Joe Biden's kind of like, hey, knuckleheads.
Stop.
Come on, guy. What is it that he says all the time? Come on, man.
Yeah,
that's what he says. There's that supercut of him saying that about 1,500 times. But come on, man, stop burning stuff down. Like, I don't understand. What does a car dealership have to do with a police shooting? I still.
Well, we've mocked this for years. When Baltimore went down, we were like, oh, the CVS is adding. The first thing they do is they burn down and loot a CVS. Look, they're going to do everything they can because they know Thursday night Trump is going to give his speech and it's going to be heavy law and order. It has to. So they're going to do everything they can now to make this shooter look like a rabid Trump supporter, vigilante. Even though from early reports I've seen is these most of the people who were going around who were defending property were pro Black Lives Matter. They just and they were, some of the rhetoric was that we're fine with you attacking government buildings, but don't attack private property.
Which I understand that argument a little bit more. I've said that on here.
But it's going to be made out that this was a rabid Trump supporter who was just out for blood, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because we've been saying for weeks that Trump, if he's going to really catch up in the polls, if he is behind in the polls, it's going to be a law and order message. People are not going to stand for this. It's not just Portland anymore. It's not just Seattle anymore. If it can happen in Wisconsin and it can happen in Minneapolis, it can happen anywhere in the Midwest. It can happen in the South. And the thing is, I had a discussion with somebody the other day about what happened in Indianapolis. That's where I'm based, just outside of Indianapolis. And someone said to me, well, why did the rioting stop? There's no more rioting in Indianapolis. And I saw some reports of this in Wisconsin, people from Chicago going up to cause trouble. Many of the people who were willing to destroy property in Indianapolis, there were reports that they were coming from Chicago. A much larger Antifa presence in Chicago. So, this is a town that's very close to Chicago. So it doesn't take much effort to make the trip to Kenosha. So that's the other thing that has to be maddening for residents there is if much of this stuff, and even this gunman didn't live in Kenosha, lived in Illinois. It's got to be maddening to see your town destroyed by a bunch of outsiders who are just trying to make a political point and push an agenda.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just looking through all the headlines to see if there's any update that changes anything. All we know is a 17-year-old and his name, but I'm not going to give him any kind of credit for.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out about the parents.
Wow.
My 17-year-old is out of state with a gun
but
late at night.
When you say out of state, it makes it sound like it was really far away, and it's not.
You're right, to be fair, but I don't know enough about gun laws to comment on whether it's totes cool to take your gun loaded gun across state lines like that and walk around open carry. But definitely a 17-year-old who isn't mature enough, hasn't been trained, I wouldn't think, to be in a situation like that. So it'll be interesting to hear what comes from the parents.
Yeah. But I mean, you can also look at it and say they've let 17-year-olds into the military.
Well, absolutely. But at least they're trained.
Sure.
They're trained to deal with this kind of situation. They're just not going to grab a gun and say, I'm going to start defending someone's property and patrol the streets, with no experience.
But again, this is what's going to happen if the police keep standing down and allow this to go on.
That's right. So will we finally see governors? It's funny. I believe the governor of Oregon today also made a statement on Twitter. It's like, okay, clearly the message has been sent. And the tease was Tuesday night, Don Lemon on CNN saying, oh, we're seeing it in the polling numbers. It's disgusting to me. It's vile that it appears as though the only reason they're commenting on this crap is because the polling data is starting to come in and Biden's being hurt. Now, all of a sudden, Biden can come out and say something. I want to be able to vote for a Democrat, Tracy. I really do.
I know you do. I don't know why. I really don't get it.
I want. Do
you want there to be an actual choice so you can feel a little bit better about this whole charade?
I don't want to be made to feel like it is completely out of the question to vote for a Democrat. And that's where we are right now. There's no way in hell I'm voting for any of this. I'm going to hold my nose and vote Republican again. And I will hold my nose, vote for every mediocre Republican on the ticket as long as this is a firewall to prevent what is going on in Portland become normal in the entire United States. And Democrats have turned a blind eye to this shit. They've condoned it. Portland has been an Antifa playground for years now, and the media's completely ignored it. I got to see in the last week everything about QAnon as if that's a major problem. Meanwhile, businesses are being burned to the ground, and it ain't QAnon doing it. It's the latest boogeyman on the right.
Yes, well, you know that they believe that the world is controlled by a cabal of satanic pedophiles and that Trump is the only thing that can save us. Which that happened right after we recorded last week, right? That he was asked that question in the press conference. They didn't phrase it the exact way that I did, but I think my phrasing is even funnier. So I would appreciate that. But I love that he has his answer. It's like, that's a bad thing. People think that I'm out to get pedophiles off the street.
All I saw was a bunch of right-wingers clutching their pearls like, oh my God, he didn't come out and condemn QAnon. He didn't know anything about QAnon. Most Americans have no idea what QAnon is. Right.
And if they do go look at it, they're going to be like, oh, they weren't kidding. It's some weird cryptic thing where they're calling everybody a pedo. And it's grabbed the interest of senior citizens and the recently unemployed due to coronavirus.
What's worse, a bunch of people on Twitter and Facebook accusing everyone of being a pedo, or the mainstream media and Hollywood and politicians ignoring pedos that are right underneath their nose?
Well, not even ignoring them, running cover for them.
Yeah.
You know, remember when Weinstein went down there, like, oh, everybody's known this for years. Oh, aren't you a bunch of nice people?
See, this just goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. Joe Biden is coming out today and half-ass condemning the violence, and it's because he's taking a hit in the polls. Not because it's wrong, not because real people are being hurt, and then this shouldn't be condoned in America. It's, oh shit, my campaign's taking a hit. I guess I should say something.
Well, they're
That's
flailing
leadership.
like crazy today. The RNC is going much better than the DNC. If you look, and it's funny, Twitter is trying to bury it. I don't know if you've noticed that. But last week when I would go on to Twitter, at the top of the trending was all the live feeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I go on the Twitter during the RNC and you got to dig for the live feeds. They eventually put them up later on in the day, but they were promoting the live stream of the DNC the moment it was gavelled in till the moment it was gavelled out. And they still couldn't help boost the abysmal ratings.
Well, I freely admit I have not. This is probably the first time since 1980 that I haven't watched.
Well, I got to tell you, I watched a little bit of it, Tuesday night's coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened because I think I was watching something else on YouTube and saw, and I was like, oh, I'll tune in for a second. But because there's no audience, so you don't have all this applause break and like this big announcement, like here comes Fingers Malloy from Indianapolis. He's da-da-da-da-da. It's just boom, 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 speaker, 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 speaker. You just get sucked into it because they each only have a few minutes and you're like, oh, this is punchy and to the point. And so I ended up watching it for close to an hour and I was like, holy crap, I need to go to bed. I don't care about seeing Melania. You know, I can watch clips tomorrow, but the stuff that I saw is like the production value is insane. And I caught Nick Sandmann. So I don't know if you've seen that video or not.
I'm telling you, out of the first 2 days of coverage, the only thing I watched was the video of his speech. And Joe Lockhart, of all people, got me to watch it. Because I don't know if you saw his tweet about Nick Sandmann. He said, I'm watching tonight because it's important, but I don't have to watch the snot-nosed entitled kid from Kentucky.
Oh.
Joe Lockhart.
Oh. That's lovely.
So at that point, I was like, well, now I have to watch. So I agree with you about, I think all the conventions should be like this now. Because networks have been threatening for years to not cover these conventions because all they are 4 days worth of infomercials for the party. There's no drama like there used to be. There are no backroom deals. There's nothing to cover. It's just, oh, here's another prepackaged speech. But I think they should all be like this. We're not fooling anybody anymore. Okay, this is exactly what it is. It's a 2 hour to 3 hour a night infomercial.
Yeah, it's a cheerleading fest. So find me some interesting people. The first guy when I tuned in was a Maine lobster guy or something in Massachusetts. I'm a lobster fisherman. And it's like, it's great. You found somebody with one of the wickedest accents there is to say lobster 50 times.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny is I didn't watch any of it, like I said, other than after the fact I watched the Nick Sandmann speech. Mm-hmm. But my sense is, and I was watching political Twitter, our betters and the blue check mark smart set. And I couldn't help but think as I was watching these leftists and never Trumpers completely melt down, I couldn't help but think, wow, this must be really effective. This is going to be a home run for people in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin, and I'm going to throw Minnesota in there now. I think all bets are off.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
And but I kept watching the meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. Bette Midler.
Yes.
Bette Midler, for those of you who didn't see her tweet while Melania was speaking, oh God, she still can't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Really could have tweeted that last week while Biden was speaking, but that's a whole other issue altogether. But I think that this is what the convention should be in the future. It should be just this. And, you know, it's tough because, you know, much of the convention is rallying the troops and having all the delegates show up and the crowd and, you know, and, you know, it's a big giant pep rally. So you want that. But at the same time, they got to be saving a crap ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's for the party insiders to get a little reward and get to go party somewhere for a couple days and those kind of things. But I think this is much more effective for television purposes And I just wanted to point something out to you because I think I let you know that over the weekend I recorded a couple, I don't know what we're going to call them yet, episodes with my buddy Peter Duke, who's a longtime fashion photographer and cultural critic and all around brilliant guy. And we recorded twice over the weekend on Periscope. I threw them up on YouTube. We already got the kaput on one of them on YouTube, Fingers.
Why is that?
We assume it's because the second episode, and I will throw up links to it in the show notes. Right now we have titled it the realityoperating.com, realityos.com. No, we don't have realityos.com. You can find us on YouTube on that. So we did commentary on how reality is curated for us by the media, depending on what they want to show and how they want to show it. So Peter had brought this to my attention and I hadn't seen it before, but Dan Rather was the only person that was allowed to see the Zapruder film that was a member of the media. Are you aware of what he did then?
I vaguely remember hearing Dan Rather talk about him being the only one who saw the Zapruder film.
So Kennedy's killed the 21st
because
of November.
For a lot of people don't know, he was a local reporter in Dallas at the time, if I remember correctly. So he was there.
That may be correct. I don't know that, but so he's the only member of the media that was shown the Zapruder film. The regular American public was wasn't privy to it until it aired on a show hosted by Geraldo in 1975. So 12 years go by before the American public sees the video. So they send Dan Rather out. Kennedy's shot on the 21st. The tape of Rather airs on the 25th, so 4 days later. And he describes what he saw in the video. So somebody had taken it and juxtaposed Rather reporting. So he's up in the corner up here, and then they show the actual Zapruder footage. So Rather's describing it, and he starts with, the car takes the turn in front of the school book depository building. Here's how it all goes, the shots. And when he gets to the final shot, whichever number you want to believe that is, he says it's the third and final. He says the president is thrown violently forward. Yeah. If anybody's seen it, or the movie JFK, when you just hear Kevin Costner in your head going back and to the left, back and to the left, back and to the left. So we showed that clip and didn't have the screen sharing set up correctly in the software we were using, so you couldn't even hear it. But we get dinged for it, for violating YouTube. We got it appealed, and now it's behind a big old warning sign. But I thought it was really interesting. And I'm guessing it was a bot because it happened like that. And then when we filed the appeal, we put some time and thought into it, like, help us understand why we're not allowed to do commentary on a video that's hosted on your platform.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't violate your terms of service, and we are not violating copyright because we're providing commentary. So within a minute or two of sending that off, it was released from prison. So I'm guessing it's all automated.
Oh, you were just doing a reaction video.
Right. And we didn't even play the set. So, I don't know. But the point being is I'm looking at stuff through that lens now, the production lens and the framing. So I saw Sandman, and I'm going to throw this up on the screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The side by side?
Yeah. Now, so, I saw actually you get into it. Well, not get into it, but with our good friend Tony Katz a little
That
bit.
Wasn't about this.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, we can go back to that in a second. But so what I've got up is the original photo of Sandman that went viral was that kind of 3/4 profile of him with the smirk, as it was labeled. So the genius of his appearance last night at the RNC is they had two angles on him. And the one angle was straight on, but the other angle was the recreation of the famous angle of him, which is not necessarily an abnormal angle to have in an interview, but that was definitely done on purpose to invoke that image and to be like, here's this kid a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and you can actually hear him.
Right.
I thought that was brilliant. I'm like, oh, whoever directed this and produced this knows what the hell they're doing. Cut to the DNC with the green screen.
Seriously.
No, but what I got into with Tony, I've been starting to notice, and I'd like to know if you're seeing this too, but the people around me, and myself included, like I just deal with the craziness a little bit differently, I think, but I can get caught up in it. But there are people that I see every day, and I've watched them slowly starting to boil.
Yeah.
Like none of this makes any sense. The schools here have all decided on different things. So up until last week, there was one school around here that was going to go half and half virtual and in person. And then that got pulled days before it was supposed to begin. So you've got those parents in a tailspin. You've got other ones that are like, well, are they going to go back for a couple of days? They've decided that the city of Reading public schools, not opening, period. No sports for those kids, nothing. This is one of the poorest cities in the entire country. Like I'm already seeing roving children in the streets on dirt bikes cutting me up. And I'm like, okay, this is just going to turn into.
But God forbid they're in a classroom.
Complete madness. Yeah, right. They might get sick. So I'm starting to notice it more and more. And the common refrain that I've been hearing from everybody, and I'm talking blue collar, white collar, and sleeveless is my third category in that. Well, you know, when you work in manufacturing, it gets hot. So you got some people that go sleeveless in the summer because it's comfortable. I can't wait until November because this stuff will end when the election is over. And these aren't political people that have that thought in their head.
I think it's clear at this point. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but it feels like, at least in my mind, you've got a political party that is so thirsty to get political power back that they won't condemn violence unless it hurts them in the polls. They won't condemn rioting unless it hurts them in the polls. And then, oh gosh, it's hurting me in the polls. I guess I got to come out against rioting in the streets. And if they're going to do that, if they're going to behave that way, how am I supposed to then not believe that they wouldn't make a pandemic political? Please, everything is political with these people. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we've talked about it on several occasions on this show where it feels like they are just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. But part of me doesn't want to go that far about the pandemic being political because you're seeing Republicans do the same shit. They're Republican governors. Governor Abbott in Texas. What's his still in Ohio?
Is it? No, I wanted to say it's Warner, but that's their senator. I know what you're talking about. Is it DeWine? Well, I think that they get this huge amount of pressure. I think it's the same kind of deal that you get these kind of flash internet mobs that may or may not be real people that just bombard them with bullshit all day. But
put your grown-up pants on. You wanted to be a leader.
We might see this go away a little faster. Because like I said, it seems to be all over the hill today is panic everywhere. So they had, here's one of their headlines, poll, serious concerns about coronavirus drop in 6 battleground states. Mm-hmm. So that headline alone tells you that this is political. The fact that they're like, oh, we're relating the polling results on what people think about the virus to politics. Mm-hmm. So here we go. Serious concerns about the coronavirus pandemic are on the decline in some of the nation's most critical battleground states, while approval of Trump's handling of the outbreak is rising. This is according to a new CNBC Change Research poll released on Wednesday. So across 6 battleground states, Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the number of likely voters who expressed serious concern about the coronavirus dropped 4 points since earlier this month, dipping from 69% to 65%. I love this. The share of respondents is that they have very serious concerns. So I wonder how this polling works. Are you concerned? Are you seriously concerned? Are you really, 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 really concerned? How'd you gauge your level? Are you at, like your Drudge headline. Everything's on fire. So the very serious concerns about the pandemic fell from 49% to 45%. So it was already 50-50. The way that it seems reported, it's way higher than that. And they do say nationally, the number of likely voters who are seriously concerned held steady at 71. So which states are the ones that are so seriously concerned that they're tipping the
California,
average? Yeah, it must be. Well, I can understand being in New York because you live in a death trap brought to you by the Cuomos.
Right.
But I thought that was so interesting. Like, why are we linking these two things? So, and then they also had this today. Battleground states seeing a drop in number of voters planning to vote by mail. Oh, wah, wah. So their whole plan is going away. So this is the same poll. The CNBC Change Research poll determined 33% of likely battleground state voters said they will vote by mail in November. So when it was last conducted 2 weeks ago, the same poll found that 38%. So people are getting over the virus freak out and realizing, hey, I can go vote in person. It's not a big deal. But with the uncertainty, I think that's what's driving everybody insane. And that's what that was the point that I was trying to make. And I think Tony thought I was talking about people freaking out about masks and stuff like that. And I'm like, no. This is just uncertainty is getting to people and the nonsense of the rules.
Uncertainty and nonsense of the rule regarding the rules. We have I'm co-host of this show, for people that don't know, called Eat, Drink, Smoke. It's nationally syndicated. It's a show about cigars and bourbon. We do reviews, and check out the podcast.
That was a good sale, Fingers. And check out the podcast.
And check out the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, or
just Google it.
Your local radio station may carry it as well. But here we are in central Indiana, and the cigar bar downtown, there are two. One is called Burn. It's a Rocky Patel cigar lounge. They were forced to close because they don't serve food. Next door, or you could have a Dick's Bodacious Barbecue across the street that serves food, but because they serve booze, they can stay open. There is no more socially distant bar that you can go to than a cigar lounge. They usually have huge study chairs, beautiful couches. The furniture in Burn, everybody is pretty much socially distanced just because of the way it's set up. They're going to close that place because they don't serve food. But you get a place like Hooters, which is downtown, and everybody is crammed next to each other, and they're serving chicken wings so they can stay open. It is so absurd. The rules are so absurd. And if you're a business owner trying to maneuver through all of this, it has to be incredibly frustrating and economically devastating.
Absolutely. And look at the people that are entrusted to educate the children of our country can't figure out how to get schools open safely. Mm-hmm. That should scare the shit out of everybody and make them realize how pathetic public education actually is.
Well, it's unions. That's
but what I'm saying is it's inept people that are incapable of problem solving.
Right.
So how are they going to teach your children anything worthwhile?
I sat down with my 10-year-old and helped her with her homework last night, and it was clear to me that they just aren't learning anything. And they're covering things from last year.
Of course.
There's this about 20% of what you learn goes down the memory hole, never to be seen again until it's reviewed the following year because of summer vacation. Well, how much information did these kids retain from the last semester of the last school year? They were out and schools hadn't prepared. The school district my kids are in, they have what's called e-learning. So at least there is a little bit of preparation for, hey, there's a snow day or whatever, what we can do in e-learning things. So there was a little bit of an infrastructure in place, but many school districts don't have that.
Right.
What were these kids learning? Nothing. It's a lost year.
Mm-hmm. It's a lost year for almost everybody. What they can learn is that nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. That would be my takeaway if I'm around kids. Be like, hey, kids, Remember all this and recognize, don't trust anybody just because they're wearing a white lab coat. Right. They got some letters after their names.
And now we can say with certainty that we've talked about it with climate science, but now it just from the reaction today to CDC new guidelines regarding the coronavirus and states like California saying they're not going to abide by the new CDC guidelines when it comes to testing. Let me pull it up. It's like, okay, well, I thought you were the science people, you lefties. Oh, it's we base all this stuff on science, and now you're seeing states saying, well, no, the CDC's new guidelines call for less coronavirus testing.
Okay, what's the rationale?
CDC on Monday revised its coronavirus testing guidelines to exclude recommendations for testing people who were exposed to the novel coronavirus, but who are not exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19, sparking concern among experts, including one who called the move potentially dangerous.
So we only want to test people that are actually showing symptoms?
Yes.
Okay.
And now
I thought we were doing that anyway.
No, that's what I thought too. But now the CDC is all in on that way of thinking, and you're seeing governors like Governor Newsom in California, who, by the way, there were photos going around. Apparently, it's an old photo. Have you seen the photo of Governor Gavin Newsom laying on the floor with his then wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle?
No.
Guilfoyle?
Guilfoyle. No. But I like your pronunciation better.
Guilfoyle.
Garfield?
Yeah. You can tell how much I pay attention to the Fox News.
Right.
They're in this like mansion and they're laying on the carpet. You know, he's spooning her. Just a weird photo. Check that out. But no, you know, these are the science people. Apparently they're science deniers when it comes to the CDC.
It doesn't make any sense and everybody's gone crazy. Mm-hmm. But I did find something I took it as lighthearted, and I thought it would be worth sharing with our listeners because we've talked about what's going on in New Zealand. So I came across a headline today, because now my morning routine is I get up and I read ground news and I look at the international news feed. So I went and zoomed in on their little map and clicked around in New Zealand to see what's going on. This is from the New Zealand Herald. Ready for this? Mm-hmm. COVID-19 coronavirus. So you've tested positive for the virus. Here's what happens next.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Stick with, because this is a good one.
Does it involve a computer chip implanted in your arm?
They don't dispel that one, but I'm telling you, this is written as if you're being talked to like you're a 5 or 6 year old. So if you're worried about getting a COVID-19 test because of fears of going into quarantine, don't be. Here's what you need to know to make one scary thing a little less scary. The government's decision to move community cases of COVID-19 into quarantine facilities has raised fears among some New Zealanders that might stop them from getting tested. They're worried about what will happen to their families, jobs, and pets if they're moved into quarantine, which is fair enough, right?
Sure, absolutely.
The coronavirus is scary.
Scary.
And the uncertainty of quarantine might make it worse. With an assist from Director General of Health, Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, we'll try to address concerns and demystify what happens after you've received the dreaded phone call. Here's the first subhead. So you've got COVID-19. What happens now? After your swab returns a positive result, the wheels of public health will start spinning quickly. No, you just make sure spin that wheel. All right, Pat. Okay, the lab that processed your test will upload the results directly to the National Public Health Database, EpiServe. That doesn't sound scary.
No, and the lab is fairly certain you have the virus.
You won't be waiting days for your result. A public health unit will call you immediately. Don't panic. There won't be any police pulling up to your door. No one is coming for your children. The first step is interviews.
Oh, I'm going to be interviewed. That sounds exciting.
And you might be wondering, and here's the next subhead to answer that question, what will they be asking me? First, people will check on your symptoms. Then health professionals, either over the phone or in person, are going to reconstruct your life over the recent days and weeks.
Okay.
Where have you been? Who have you seen? The first question you'll be asked will be the easiest of all. They'll want to know who your family is, where you work, and who your close contacts are. Quote, the move into a quarantine facility isn't something that happens immediately. The first priority is to find out who the close contacts are. Make sure that family, workplace, and other close contacts are isolated and can then be tested, said Bloomfield, who's the friendly doctor that's helping out in this article. Quote, there's no van that suddenly arrives at someone's house and carts them off. That is not how the process works. I can reassure people.
Oh.
Do you feel better now, Finger?
Oh, yeah.
Once the people who are most likely to have picked up a virus from you are mapped out, the conversation starts about what will come next. This can take a few days.
Warning, few days, maybe a few weeks.
Right. Why would I leave my house for quarantine, you might be asking? The whole idea of moving people into quarantine isn't so much due to a lack of trust, wink, wink, as it is to make your life easier.
Oh, yeah.
You've got COVID-19. You can't go to work. You can't go to school. You can't go shopping for food and other basics. To minimize the risk of passing on the virus to a friend or a family member bringing you groceries, you'll be moved to a hotel where all that is provided. It literally sounds like a game show, doesn't it? It should reduce your stress about accidentally passing on the virus. So who comes with you on this wonderful vacation you've just won? It's specific to each case, but it could be your immediate family. Keep in mind that a lot of the transmission seen in Auckland so far is within immediate families. So your partner or child might already have the virus. As of today, there are 163 people in Auckland quarantine facility due to the community outbreak. 90 of them have tested positive. What about my kids? Well, there have been concern raised within the Maori and Pacifica communities, which I have no idea what that means. I guess that's locations, would be my guess. In recent weeks, that families with COVID-19 will be forcefully separated, and Oranga Tamariki will take away the children of positive cases. Don't know what that means either. But that's not happening, so don't worry about it. Your kids might be coming with you if that's the best option.
Your kids will come with you to the COVID-19 camp at the Wellington La Quinta.
If they test negative, they could also go with other Awanu, which, again, don't know what that means, if that's what you'd like. The idea is to give you the power. Mm. It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Oh, this whole explanation sounds incredibly empowering.
Mm. It goes on. Here's what Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said about this last Friday after rumors began circulating online about kids being taken away. Here she is. Quote, that is simply not how these arrangements work. We try, and as best as possible, keep people in an arrangement that works for their family, whilst, and she used the word whilst, also trying to keep their family members safe from transmission. Mm. So we really work through that with public health clinicians on the ground. So I just want to dispel any suggestion that anything forcible is happening in these situations. It doesn't sound like you have much choice about going off the La Quinta cough.
We're going to make this whole event for you less stressful. Our trained bureaucrats will show up at your home to take your children in hazmat suits. They will not be scared at all. They will not be frightened.
And there definitely won't be a van. But wait a minute. There might be, hang on, I'm getting there. But what about my dog? No one is going to leave your dog at home alone. If you've got a friend or a family member who'd like your dog or other household pet, public health can make that happen if it's possible.
If it's
possible. Otherwise, they'll find a suitable arrangement.
Old yeller.
Yeah. According to Bloomfield, who's the helpful doctor who put this together, with the reporter who's definitely calming my fears, worries about pets are something many of us would have in this scenario, and they've thought it through.
Wait a minute. I'm. This isn't from a government website. This is actually a news article.
This is from the New Zealand Herald. Well, it was written with the help of this friendly doctor.
I get so, but that sounds like something completely off of a government website. This is a news source. It
could be state controlled for all I know. It could be the equivalent of the BBC over there. So hang on, don't you want to know about your pets? So they've thought about it, Fingers. They've thought this through, what to do. So, quote, "These are exactly the kind of issues that the team works with people on, including their employment and making sure their income needs are met, that any welfare needs are met. Some of them might have other family members who aren't household contacts who they are responsible for to look after. These are all things that these bureaucrats are taking into consideration," right? This is my favorite question. "What about my plant babies?"
Oh, good Lord.
I swear to God, that's exactly how it's written.
Who will tend to my garden?
But my plant babies? Yeah, they'll figure those out too if it's important to you.
If that's important to you.
Ready? This is when it starts sounding like you've won some awesome vacation. Remember when they said there wouldn't be a van?
Right.
Okay, what do I need to bring to quarantine? In most cases, a van will come pick you up. Okay, let me start that one again. In most cases, a van will come to pick you up at home and bring you.
Mike Pence isn't driving the van, is he?
He might be.
Ooh.
It's a Pence van. It's a totally cargo van, no windows.
Yeah. Make sure it doesn't say conversion camp on that van.
It's a conversion van, not a conversion camp. Okay, so they come pick you up in the van and they will bring you to the beautiful Jet Park Hotel near the Auckland airport.
This sounds like a 1970s Price is Right.
I know.
You want a trip to Los Angeles? You'll be staying at the airport Ramada.
Well, Fingers, there have been a few cases where, quote, bespoke quarantine arrangements have been made. Translation, if you don't know what that means, because a lot of people don't know what bespoke means, but that means custom tailored. Translation, they actually write this out. It's just too hard to get you to a quarantine facility, so the government helps set one up for you. Wow. Ready? Here we're getting to the end of this. At the quarantine facility, you'll be provided with a room for yourself and your family coming with you. Whether the rooms are separate, connected, or you're sharing a single room will really depend on your situation. You'll be provided with 3 hearty meals and 2 snacks daily.
Wow.
Breakfast comes with coffee. I'm not adding anything to this, I promise you. Your dirty laundry will be cleaned and parenthetically dry cleaned. So you don't have to pack for weeks and weeks. You'll have satellite TV, Wi-Fi, internet, and daily health checks with a nurse. Soap, shampoo, and other basics are usually provided as well.
Usually.
If you need anything, the facility can get it for you. And it's all free.
Do they have a deal with Governor Cuomo, or will they have New York hand sanitizer in each room?
I don't know. And so right now at the bottom of that article, they have in New Zealand cases. Confirmed at the moment is 1,344. Probable is 351.
It's a big hotel.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But I just couldn't stop laughing at that story. Like, this is literally written for little children.
Yeah.
But everybody's agreed to kind of be treated like that.
Wait, so to clarify, breakfast comes with coffee?
It does.
Oh, good.
And I did add the exclamation points because they were just periods, and I don't think that's as fun.
No.
And we want this to be less scary, so there should be more enthusiasm involved. You're getting a free 2-week stay at the Auckland airport.
Which has some of the finest coffee in New Zealand.
Of course it does. And maybe you'll be lucky enough to have that guy. I got to go find that article about the security guy that was sneaking booze into all the quarantiners.
Yeah, no alcohol. Can you imagine being locked up in a hotel and you don't, it's one thing if you're sick. Okay, you don't feel it. But if you're not showing any symptoms at all and you feel completely normal and you're locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks or more, and they're like, yeah, you can't have a drink. But you can have all the coffee you want in the morning with this fantastic breakfast that is included, which is English muffins and donuts and coffee.
Yeah, maybe.
But
how many people are gaming the system? Like, if you're, say, in a shitty living situation, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to say at the airport, La Quinta.
Is it warm in here? I'm hot. I must have a fever.
I was promised 3 squares, breakfast with coffee, and 2 snacks.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Your 14 days are up. You get the clear, but you get the all clear, but it's 2 p.m. and you were counting on that Salisbury steak dinner you were going to get the Wellington Ramada, and it's been yanked from you. They're going to, no, sorry, sir, the van's out front.
It's all free.
But it's Salisbury steak night. No, I'm sorry. The van's here. You got to go home now. Oh, by the way, unfortunately, your plant babies died in our custody. We're very sorry.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe that. Now I want to see what the hotel looks like.
Trying to make a reservation. Get on Priceline.
They're not letting anybody in. Oh, Lord. Oh, TripAdvisor. It's got 4.5 stars.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
How's the coffee? Is there a Yelp review? I must know. Do they have cold brew?
Probably not. I will screen share so that anybody that's watching can enjoy this. Oh, look. It looks like I could book a room in January. All right,
okay,
here's the exterior.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's kind of industrial.
That doesn't look like a government prison.
There's a Corona van. Traveler's Choice 2020 fingers.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, look at that. Beautiful spread.
Right now, someone is in that bed coughing.
Right. Here's a room that you can't go in to have meetings that aren't happening. There's the breakfast. That's all. Oh, no, wow. That's dessert. That's dessert. Yeah. Sorry. That looked like eggs at first, but I realized it's meringues.
Actually, how I used to eat, that does look like breakfast.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there'd be no booze. That's probably what they would send you. It's egg salad with some spinach.
It's a prison.
Yeah.
Look at that prison food.
Yeah, it looks kind of sad. Oh, well. New Zealand, you crack me up. Can you imagine if Trump was trying to do that crap?
Oh, good Lord.
I mean, I think it makes a certain amount of sense and would have been nice to have done in New York with people that wanted to isolate, is open up hotels, but not forcibly. Like, you can stay in your home, or if you would rather and separate from your family, here you can go stay on the ship that was there. You can go stay at the Javits Center.
No, we are hopelessly divided. You brought up, well, can you imagine if Trump had done something like this? We've talked about it before. If Trump would have come out with some sort of mask mandate back in March or April, the libs would have been out in the streets burning masks. There would have been mask burnings all over the country. Now there's this report. I didn't read anything regarding this new treatment that was approved
The convalescent plasma stuff.
Yes. You know, here you go. Oh, they aren't moving fast enough. They aren't taking it seriously. Then you got, you know what? Hey, we find this may work. We're going to go ahead and approve this now. Oh my gosh.
It's dangerous. It sounds really dangerous.
Moving too fast. Oh, screw all of you. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the right doesn't do it too.
No, I think if Trump had come out hard and said mask mandate, you'd probably have the MAGA masks everywhere, and then the left would not be wearing masks.
Yeah.
So it's a team sport.
Yeah. Well, we should wrap things up.
Yeah. The laughs from New Zealand, though, that will keep me going.
You can catch the Enough Already podcast if you're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, you can watch it over on YouTube and BitChute. And if you're watching us on YouTube and BitChute, and you want to listen to the podcast instead of seeing our cheery, smiling faces, then you can catch it wherever fine podcasts are sold. Now, don't forget, listen, birthdays, holidays are right around the corner. If you're going to do some shopping on Amazon, check out our website, enoughAlready.media. At the top, you'll see a link. We are an Amazon affiliate. If you want to help support the show, buy some of your Amazon products off of our website. It won't cost you any more. I'm sure you're familiar with the Amazon affiliate program if you're a podcast listener and you go on different websites. A lot of us are Amazon affiliates, so we'll get a little something. Yeah,
a little taste of the Bezos bucks.
Yes.
So I've got it on I think at the top of every page on the site, you'll just see an Amazon banner. You click through that to get to Amazon, and then we get a little taste.
Yep. So this podcast is coming out the 27th of August, and it looks like Tracy and I may be off the next couple of weeks, traveling around the country, making sure we're going to stay out of airport jail, wearing our masks and behaving and washing our hands. We're very clean people, Tracy.
It's true.
Very clean. So we will make sure to follow all of the rules, but I'm not sure. We may do a show next week, probably not. But if we don't, we will probably be back the second week. Well, maybe the third week of September. Who knows?
We'll try to do something.
Week. We'll do something. But in the meantime, check out Tracy's show with Peter Duke.
You can get there by going to therealityos.com. That'll kick you over to our YouTube channel where we're, teetering on being banned after posting 2 whole videos.
Only took 2 weeks.
We've also put it out on Periscope, on Peter's Periscope. So I think he is at Peter Duke Media, I want to say, or at Peter Duke Photo. Anyway, I'll put up links on enoughAlready.media to all that stuff. And you can watch Dan Rather just completely live what happened to John Kennedy. It's really stunning to watch him do that because he's so emotional about it too.
Well, that's understandable. I mean,
right. But to sit there and lie and he's like biting his lower lip and looking down, and the president was thrown violently forward.
Oh, you see some of the documentaries, and he basically tries to pin the whole assassination on the right wing. It's simply amazing to watch. I've been down quite a few rabbit holes when it comes to the JFK assassination on YouTube. There's some fascinating videos of local broadcasts and the CBS affiliate down there, the NBC affiliate down there, where it's just nothing but nonstop coverage from local news and then local newsroom. And it's stuff you don't want, you start watching, you're like, I can't stop watching this. And Rather was a big part of that. I believe he was with CBS, the CBS local affiliate in Dallas. If I'm not mistaken.
Put his star on the map, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing a documentary recently where he's like, oh, the right-wing hate of JFK. You could feel it in Dallas, Texas that day. Like,
of course.
But
the reason that we brought it up, aside from like curating the news and, setting everybody's opinion for them, is that we got into all the, some of the conspiracies around who else could have been involved. And there were a lot of people that were not very happy with JFK at the time, including Alan Dulles, who then goes on to head the Warren Commission, even though he'd been fired from the CIA by JFK. Mm-hmm. And he is basically the J. Edgar Hoover of the CIA. So he's one of the founding members of it. And then Hoover had already I believe he had exceeded the age limit, because in theory, there's an age limit for people that hold federal positions in the bureaucracy.
Really not the United States Senate.
No. But they're like, yeah, you kind of need to go, dude. You've been here since the 1920s when it was founded, and you've been the director that whole time. I think, 40 years is good enough. We're probably not going to push through for special dispensation for you when JFK gets reelected in 1964. So he knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, having the FBI and the CIA mad at you, and then, oh yeah, you had the mafia help you get elected, and then you're boiling your brother attorney general, and he's got this huge heart on to take out the mafia. Yeah, I don't know. Who could have had a motive? Oh, it's this wacky dude named Lee Harvey Oswald. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it's a right-wing hate.
It's a right-wing hate. Right-wing hate.
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas.
Of course. Well, they've kept banging that drum since 1963.
Right.
It works to some effect, apparently.
Of course. So check that show out. You can check out Eat, Drink, Smoke. Like I said, it's the show I do with Tony Katz, nationally syndicated. It's on radio stations around the country, and it's on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And the Snark Factor, Wham Talk, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM in Ann Arbor, Sunday mornings. And eventually I'll post a podcast for that show. I get around to it, but we may be back next week. We may be back in 2 weeks. We may be back in 3 weeks, but we will be back soon with an all new Enough Already.